And welcome back in, everybody. Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy. So glad you guys are with us. Brought to you by Sundale Country Club, home of the Bakersfield City Championship for the last 30-plus years. Give them a call at 661-831-5224 or SundaleCountryClub.com on the web for more information. And we're going to jump into, we had Owen Avrit from the First Tee Central Coast play at the Pure Insurance Championship this past weekend up at Pebble Beach and Poppy Hills. And Mr. Gibbs has a full report.
I sure do. Thank you, Mike, for mentioning that, and it's good to be here on the show.
You're welcome.
I spent a great few days up there at the hallowed grounds of Pebble Beach and Poppy Hills. And first, I'm going to start off by saying, before I jump into my report that I've carefully put together here on your behalf of GTR, and once again, thank you for sending me up to the beautiful locations.
I feel like I need a graphic right now for you.
So it's posted right here on my phone. Let's take a look at my phone when you get it. The amazing Owen Avrit I've known since he's been a little bitty boy. He's now 17, and before we go into what went on with him, because there were so many highlights, and then there was a lot of drama, and there was decisions to be made, and there were some really, really good moments. This young man was outstanding. If he played his own ball and kept his own score, which he did, he would have made the cut as a pro. So his 36-hole score was 1 over par. He was 1 under at Pebble on his own ball, and he was 2 over at Poppy. 2 over made the cut as the pros. So he would have been alone. He would have made the cut as a bunch of pros, and was 2 shots ahead of. He tied Tom Watson's score, and he was shots ahead of people like Lauren Roberts and a bunch of others. So he would have made the cut on his own ball.
Wow!
So never seen such a great performance on Pebble. He played the first day with his partner Mark O'Mara. And on the first or second swing, Mark hurt his back on day one, and you can see him flinch and was kind of in a lot of pain. So he just kind of limped it through Pebble, but the two of them teamed up for a 5-under score, and I think Owen made 3 or 4 birdies, and Mark may have made 1 or 2. I don't know exactly how it timed, but they didn't. They both bogeyed the first hole, and that was Owen's only bogey of the whole day. And but they went on to be T9 after day one.
This is at
Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach.
So, Butch and I walked around that golf course. Josie came up. It was a great walk. And so he was amazing. But I want to say, and I'll go into the first of the property, but I've never been more proud of any young man. I've been doing golf, being a pro for almost 40 years, and for the 30 years working with kids, I've never been more proud of one individual and how he handled himself through the ups and downs of what this weekend turned out to be. He's just an incredible young man, and he had some things to have to persevere through, and he did. And he in my opinion, was the most valuable player there the whole week, and that includes the committees of the tournaments and everybody else that was there. So, but anyways, if you haven't played Pebble Beach, you should. But even if you don't, you should walk the grounds. We walked there that afternoon for 18 holes, and as in the group following, if you just take your time and look around, that place is some gorgeous piece of property.
It's unbelievable.
So the sun was out, and it was not too hot, and it was not windy, and the ocean was just shining. When you walk from 6 all the way through that ocean stripe 6 through 9 or 10 or whatever it is, it's just
an amazing stretch.
Inspiring. It really is. And then coming up 18, of course, is nothing like that. So going there just to walk that property is just unbelievable. It's worth doing. I was just totally amazed, goosebumps the whole time. And then Poppy's, Poppy's not an ugly little golf course. It's a big, beautiful place to be. But it was so cool to see Owen play, because when we got there, they had an early tee time at Poppy on Saturday. We have a bus coming up with 40 kids. They were the first off on Poppy, the very first group off. But we got there, and sun was just coming up, and they were just warming up, and Mark walked over and had to withdraw. So Mark O'Mara went up and told Owen, "I can't do this. My back is so bad. I'm dropping out." And he broke his heart, and it broke everybody's heart. Everybody felt bad because they didn't even tee off yet, and Mark O'Mara's ball is gone. He's not even in the tournament anymore. So now what? That's the whole thing. Now what? So the committee met, and Owen had to play his own ball. His team was a 2-man team, and one of them's gone, and the touring pro is gone. So Owen played his own ball. Just him against the rest of the field. So it was tough, and he knew it going off, and he played great.
Would his score still count?
Yeah, well, they brought in the 2 amateurs play along, and then they brought in a stand-in pro, just a club pro that Mark knew, and that guy played pretty good. Owen beat him by 2 or 3 shots, but he had some birdies, and they thought the scoreboard kept showing Owen up there in T3, T4, because they were using that pro score. So they would have been 9 or 10 under, and I think the leaders were 11 under. They would have been close. They would have made it, but they couldn't use a score. It's not Mark. He can't just bring in another pro. If you and I were partners and you got hurt, I would just have to play. I can't bring in Nikki.
But Owen's own score.
Ball counted.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Right. So his score wasn't enough to make the cut because they had no, didn't have pro. He played great. He was, like I said, they were 4 under now as a team, and I think 8 under or something made the cut. So they would have made the cut easily because Owen had 4 or 5 birdies that day, and a few bogeys obviously, but Mark was there. If you don't know, hindsight,
right,
probably would have been. So the committee didn't know what to do with Owen for the last round. What does he do? Does he go over with the miscut kids and play over at Poppy Hills in a little scramble format, or does he get to play Pebble the next day? So no one really knew, and they were talking about it. And what do they give him? This kid deserves it. He beat half the pro. He would have made the cut in his own ball. Committee even said that his kid's playing better than half the touring pros. So they decided to let him play at Pebble, but he was going to be playing with. There was one pro that didn't. This kid made the cut, but he didn't. Right, the pro's team made the cut, but the pro didn't, which happened to be Lauren Roberts. So Lauren Roberts' score didn't count, but they did for the team. So him and his partner, Lauren's score didn't count as a tournament, but his pro junior team did. So they paired him with that group. So Owen's just out there playing. So he just got to play Pebble.
This is Sunday?
This was Sunday with Doug Garwood and his junior partner, and Lauren Roberts and Owen played the very first group off yesterday, which is a week ago Sunday now because of our show. So that was happy news for a while. We thought that was great, right? I mean, this is cool. Yeah. Owen gets to play Pebble again. His score doesn't count, so there's no competitiveness going. It doesn't matter, which is kind of a bummer because he's such a competitor. He wants his scores to count. And so that was a little iffy. And then right behind him was, and this is the only downside, and this is what I think Owen persevered the most, is Vijay Singh was right behind him. And he just made the cut line and wanted to play fast. So Owen's group was in front of him. VJ's was second. And Owen, they kept calling 3 times to speed up Owen's group because they were a foursome and the rest were threesomes. And so they told Owen he had to only putt once and pick up his ball.
Oh, wow.
And then they had made him skip the entire 5th hole to try to speed up play because VJ called twice to complain. So now Owen doesn't even have a score to count because he had to pick up his ball. So it turned out, and he was very sad for a few minutes and said, "What am I doing here?" And then Doug Garwood was, the other player was not very pleasant to Owen, and he felt like he was in the way. They made him feel like he was in the way, and then that kind of chilled out when the pacing got up and they got ahead of the VJ's group behind him, and then they started letting him play, and Owen shot 1 under par from the 7th hole on, or 8th hole on. So he had just that little glitch of holes, and he can start putting out now because they were far enough of VJ's. Big fan of VJ right now.
Yeah, really.
So it turned out to be, this is awesome. He's playing Pebble. He's with the touring pros. He's playing with Lauren, and which is a local tie, as you know.
Right,
and,
which is awesome.
And he gets to play with a couple of touring pros, and then it turned out to be a nightmare for about 4 holes for Owen and for the family, and for what do we do, and then he just, should we take him off the course? Because he's not going to play. If he had a 1 putt all the way around, only hit 1 putt and get to pick it up, would you play?
No,
would you
I
play? I wouldn't play.
wouldn't
In a heartbeat. I would not do that, and it would ruin his.
It's really tough.
It could ruin his whole opinion of everything, and it could be scarring for life because he's trying to make it a positive thing, and it was up until. And then when he got to finally be able to play again, he went back into Owen mode and just played phenomenal from then on. Birdied 18 at Pebble both days. He birdied 14 and 15. I mean, he was just a stud, man.
That is so awesome.
So there was a lot. I guess he was on TV a lot out here. I DVR'd it, so I have to see it. But he was on TV a lot on Friday from Pebble. Him and Mark, and they were interviewed. So it was really a good experience. Had some things to persevere. Had some challenges. And, we wish Mark O'Mara to get healthy. But the cool thing, probably the best about O'Mara, he walked and carded the first 9 holes with Owen to help him and had his caddy. And then he was hurting so bad they took off at the turn, but left his caddy for Owen. He couldn't carry Owen's bag, but they walked alongside and gave him yardages and stayed with him for the whole 18 holes. So Owen had Mark's caddy for advice and yardages because they can't use rangefinders and things. So that was pretty neat on and above the Call of Duty for Mr. O'Mara, for Mark to do that.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Now Owen has to put out everything because, if Mark was in for a par or a birdie, Owen can pick up, so.
Right.
But Owen was so good, he didn't have to do that first day. He just played that good. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he just, the first and only bogey he made was number one. The rest of it was pars and birdies. How good is that, huh?
That's amazing. I mean, if there's ever a kid, at least that we've known that could handle that, it would be him.
Yeah.
Or Jack.
Yep. And Jack got to caddy for Owen yesterday, or the Sunday of the final round.
Oh, he did.
So that was they had two choices. One is just let those two play in the morning before the tournament. But Jack didn't. This was Owen's moment. Didn't want to step in on that. So then they said, well, you can play with these guys, and then Jack can caddy for him because his score didn't count. So
Right.
it didn't. The rules are the kids couldn't have caddies. But since the score didn't count, he's just out there. Jack got to go walk alongside him. And it turned out to be at the very end okay, right? It turned out okay,
Right.
but it could have been a disaster. And so, but the bus of kids followed Owen for 9 holes, the entire back 9. They got there right when he got on 10, and we followed. And he had a huge crowd, a lot of roars, and it's just Owen playing with.
So cool.
So it was very, very cool, and I had goosebumps and tears, and I was never so proud and so sad at the same time because he would have easily made the cut. 16 under won it. They could have, if they went 5, 5, and 5, they would have been 15 under, and
Right.
that's easily doable. Poppies are going to make more birdies over there, and so it was a great experience. We waited a lot of years for it. There was kind of a bittersweet, if you will, but I've never been so proud of that kid ever. Never been so proud of any kid.
Who could have seen that was going to be the outcome?
Yeah, the first stage.
ever.
He told Owen right after the first hole that he hurt himself on the first swing or something on the range the first day, and if it was any other tournament, he would have backed out then because he was hurting that bad. And they went and got him some pain medicines, and you saw him bring him that. So he kind of limped himself through Pebble the first day. You can see it. He winched. I felt it because I've been feeling like that.
Yeah, totally.
So you can see it. He's like, oh, he's really hurting. But he was dinking it out there and trying, but he did make some birdies. So when Owen didn't, I think he made through 3 birdies where Owen didn't, but he also was out of a couple holes. So he's just because he was, he's in his pocket, if you will, not in his pocket, but he was he making doubles and stuff like that. And I don't know if he made doubles. He's pretty solid, but even hurt. But he wasn't himself. And so the next day, he went iced it that night. Said I'm gonna do everything I can. But so we walked up and Poppy that morning, and Owen come walking over to me, and I can see something in his eyes. Something was wrong. But I saw Mark standing right over there. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. And he's like, Mark's out. I'm like, oh no. So it started out. It was pretty, interesting day of emotions.
But if you could ever think of a situation that encompasses so many of the 9 core values
Yeah.
of the first tee, like when I was texting you when I woke up Saturday and like, okay, we're coming down, where's he at? And you're like, Mark pulled out. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was thinking like, it's almost like I was having the feelings of like if I was Owen, how I would feel about that.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is disappointment right off the bat. And then I'm thinking, like I said to Amy, my wife, I go, well, it's a 2-person event. I wonder if he can just play his own ball. And I was trying not to text you a lot because I figured you guys were probably going through a lot of stuff anay.
He would have.
And
Yeah.
I figured you had a lot of people probably texting you about everything.
Yeah, my
I didn't.
phone
I
died
did. That's what I
halfway
mean.
through.
I was.
So then I'm trying to organize the bus and everything else,
Yeah.
trying to get all that. But yeah, my phone died halfway through, and one of the kids had a charger, which was cool. But it was a day of a roller coaster ride. And Owen handled it better than anybody else did. I mean, all of us had emotions going everywhere.
I'm sure.
What do you do? And most kids, and I don't know how all these kids played, but they're pros that made the cut. If they were 8 under, their pros were 6 or 7 under. The pros 8 under and they makes the cut. Their team makes the cut. Right.
Right.
So Mark's 2 over or something, and they're 5 under. So they're frickin' fracking pretty darn good. No one's team would have. So it's some of those kids. It'd be hard to break 90 on the way those courses played. Shooting in the 80s there, it was brilliant because those are the greens, and they're so different. Those 2 courses greens are so different.
Oh yeah, those are.
They're black and white too. They're 2 different grasses. They're 2 different speeds. Way different in sizes.
Greens are totally different.
Totally different greens.
Yeah.
Totally.
I've never the one time I played Pebble, I've never felt so constricted on approach shots into a green in my life.
They're so tiny
because it's like you have bunkers on either side all the time. and long as death. Long is usually really long rough, at least when I was there. So it's like you had to play it to miss it short unless you felt really good about hitting the center of the green, which the greens are not that big anyway.
They're the smallest greens
like
on anywhere.
You hit the center of the green, it's probably going off.
And then Poppy's got some of the biggest greens anywhere.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
really.
So they're bigger almost than your house, Mike. So not quite. Almost
No,
the
they're
size.
bigger than my house.
But if one of them's like an acre or something. But and he putted great both. I mean, to shoot one under at Pebble on your own ball is pretty impressive for anybody. Much less a 17-year-old kid in front of a whole bunch of people, and then playing Poppy that well. And because Poppy's not an easy golf course. Even the pros. I think average score was 3 or 4 over there, and he shot 2 over. And those are just with putts. It's hard to get close to some of those holes when you.
Well, and to be able to handle all that disappointment and also the VJ thing and continue to play, that's amazing.
So it's fun. VJ has to talk to the scorer has to call the tour has to call Steve, Steve Johns, who's the chairman of the tournament, and then Steve Johns is texting Darren what to do.
Oh, my God.
So it's all this going on. It was all VJ. To be honest with you, that was the only glitch. If he just would have chilled out for 3 or 4 more holes. Even the second hole, he was about par 5. Owen's up there, trying to make his par, and he's like, this group, there's a foursome in front of. They played in foursomes all week. There was never a threesome all week, still that day.
Till Sunday.
And so now all of a sudden, anyway, I got to get going. He wants to get out of there. So these guys in front of me got to speed up. Second hole, par 5. You got to wait anyways, right? So
it's amazing because when you think about that, you've got these kids out here having a once-in-a-lifetime experience. They're never going to have it again.
And been waiting,
ever.
And we've been waiting
they've been
10
waiting.
years. We knew it was coming, right?
Yeah, it's a goal for a lot of the kids that they set early, and then you got something like that.
And then you just got the Avrit legacy, which Jack won 3 years ago with Mark O'Mara. So there's that comparison. And they scored they shot 500 at Pebble, Mark and Jack, and Owen and Mark shot 500 at Pebble. So they were the same scores.
Wow.
So what we didn't know is what was going to happen over at Poppy, and it was. It could have. What if Owen did shoot an 80? Right. I mean, it could have easily shot in the 80s. Not Owen can't, but a kid could.
Right.
Right. Owen's not a kid.
Right.
He's just an exceptional player. But it would have been tough because you'd have seen that score, and he'd have to hole out. He doesn't have that partner, the pro, to get up there making a bunch of pars to help relax yourselves.
Right.
So you're out there. It's now a medal play event versus a team play event, which is a totally different way of looking at it, right? So those 4-footers are now must-makes. When your partner's in, you're like, oh, I'd have made that. Pick it up. And that makes you feel good. And you go. You got your partner in there in the hole. You got and so he didn't have that. So he just had to grind it and play.
I bet he
And I'll tell you one thing. He's played, and I think if he eagled the last hole, which is the old 18s, now the 9, he made it on his own or something like that. At that point, he would have made his own on his own ball. And he hit the tree. It was a perfect shot at that green, that one tree that sticks there.
Oh, yeah.
So he hit that tree and chipped out, made par, but great par in front of everybody. Everybody's on that hill, the busload of kids.
That's a great.
But it looked like it was going to be up in the middle of the green for a chance. And I think he would have gone 7 under or something, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact score. But it would have been really good for him to have a choice. To imagine if he made it on his own, what a story that would have been. I mean, just his own ball. So
that would have been incredible.
Wow.
So, anyways, that's what happened up there. The kid of the busload of kids were so supportive, and his quote was, they asked him, "What about the 40 kids that followed you and all the group? Did you get nervous?" He said, "Are you kidding? I love it," and he loved that every minute of that shining in front of all the people. Owen Avrit belongs inside the ropes. He will be inside the ropes someday.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. Hope I'm alive to see it.
I was going to ask you. I kind of got the sense that I would think that he would thrive. In that situation.
He's got this even keel. His brother's a good player, but he's up and down with his emotions.
Yeah.
You can't tell. Owen's got that like Mike Reed. Remember old Mike Reed for the radar and the tour? There's just nothing changes.
Yes. Yep.
Or you've got, you've got a few of those tour players now, like DJ or something. You just don't know if they're ups, highs, or lows. Owen's kind of like that. You don't know. He makes birdie. He makes bogey. You can't tell the difference.
Can't tell.
His pace is the same. His walk is the same. And that's the sign of it. And he can't go high, in my opinion. I don't think Owen can shoot high. I don't think he has. He's just too consistent striker.
Yeah.
He's not going to hit a lot of out of bounds balls. He's not going to be in a lot of hazards in his short games. So it's very impressive to see a 17-year-old kid play better than most of the legends.
That's so awesome.
That's my That's my report, Mike. Thank you for bringing me up there and letting me do it, and I appreciate the room you got me. Nice room.
Yeah.
And
you're welcome.
And it was just nice to represent Golf
I'm
Talk
glad
Radio.
I could be there and support.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your journey, but I was there for you. A lot of people asked where you are. Everybody asked.
I feel bad.
But I told them that you had another assignment, that you were over in Le Foin, watching the Ryder Cup. That's why I actually said, Mike said the Ryder Cup. Oh, how cool.
That's actually pretty funny.
That's what I told everyone. And a lot of them said, wow, that's awesome.
We got it covered. Both bases, man. Both bases. All right, we're going to take our second break. You're listening to Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy right here on the Golf Talk Radio Network. Don't forget McPhee's Grill at Templeton, McPhee'sGrill.com, 805-434-3204. We'll be right back.